everyone, Amanda here. Thank you so much for joining me. So today I'm working on my junk journal, and I'm only using recycled items or junk. So I've got heaps of stuff on my desk. I've got some Amazon packaging. This was on my Mother's Day flowers. This is an envelope from Mother's Day. I've got some writing paper. I've got some scrapbooking paper. I've got some images that I've ripped out of books, and then I've got my tray of ephemera. I've also got some, I trimmed all of my pages down to 5.5 by 8.5. It's just more of a manageable size for me. The pages were large. So the strips that I cut off, I made some painted strips, and I've just painted them all randomly. That was just wiping my painting mat. Just playing with stencils, and then some of them are just painted, some of them are stamped over. So I've just got a random collection of painted strips which I can use to rip up and add pops of colour to my clusters. That's the idea. Okay, so these are just leftovers. Okay. So let's see what we can make. Now I may well speed it up. We'll see. I might do a bit of speeded up and a bit of talking. So far I've gone through some of my pages and I've added some stenciling. Let me just make sure I'm in shot. On some of them I've added some more pages, so I've left those the natural colour because I think it goes nice with the non-painted ones. Then we've got the normal paper. I've done some stenciling on that bit of music paper and got it shorter. More stenciling, and then this one here I actually highlighted. You might not be able to see, but I highlighted some of this image and brought it back out again just to experiment and play with my paints, and I've used metallic paints. I think that looks quite cute, and it's far brighter than the original one. I've added some marks there, I've added some stenciling there, and then drawn around it with a white pen, etc. So I need to start and make some ephemera. So it's going to be like clusters and pockets. So let's get cracking. So I have sped parts of the video up and parts are in real time. So I'm just making clusters. It's nothing new to a lot of people, but you know, making them with junk is different to making them with digitals. You've got to do your own coordination. You've got to find your own colour palette. You've got to find your own balance. When I make my digitals, I do all of that hard work for my customers so that they don't have the stress that I went through today. It took me all day to make what I'm sharing in this, 16-17 minute video, all day, okay? From the painted strips, you know, and I'd spent a previous day as well making those leaves and fussy cutting the flowers and doing all of the stamping. So journaling from scratch using junk and art supplies is very, very time consuming. Okay, using your digitals is faster. You know, the coordination, when I do my digitals, I do all the coordination for you. The colour palette's there. You don't need to start hunting for things that match, okay, and trying to hodgepodge things together. So that is where journaling, junk journaling for me with junk, as opposed to digitals, is very much a challenge. But I did pull it off, okay, I managed it. And I am lucky that I've got my art supply so I can paint things and I can change the colour of things. You know, but I've got limited actual junk and books, so I had to get creative. So if you're stuck with clusters, one easy rule of thumb is to do it in odd numbers. So I typically start with a layer of three strips of paper. Then I'll add a couple of embellishments, and it goes up to 5. And then if I'm feeling like it needs more, I'll put more. But you know, if you go by the rule of odd numbers, you know, in floristry, florists will often put bunches of flowers together in odd numbers to get the right kind of balance. So here I'm just adding some marks with my markers. You know, you can totally utterly use your what you've got. add some doodles. I added some just black marks and some polka dots on mine, and it just looks really fun. And one thing I will say is you feel a little bit more accomplished because when you've done, because you've made everything from scratch. But it is very time consuming. As I said, it's taken me all day to make what I've made in this video. Whereas with my digitals, you know, I probably would have just fussy cut my embellishments, got my tags, you know, they're already done. I do all the hard work for my customers to make their lives easier, and it makes my life a heap lot easier than how it's gone today. But I have enjoyed it. It is a challenge, and I think if you can create things like this, you could create anything. So, you know, it's a learning curve, and it's almost a life skill. I'd advise everybody to try it at least once, to try and make a junk journal. It doesn't have to be a big thick chunky one, even if it's just 10 pages. Give it a try, because you will build on your skills. Okay, so after quite a while of playing, I've got quite a selection of clusters. I'm going to show you them really quickly, and then I'm going to make another item that we can use the clusters on. Maybe two. I don't know if I'll do it in real time or speed it up, but this is what I've come up with, and I've done them in different orientations. Every single one is different because I don't have two of the same images, and that's one of the joys of using book pages and recycled items. You're not going to have two of the same images. Okay, so every single thing that you make is completely and utterly unique. So here's the little painty leaves. These are stamped. This is painty papers, and the rest is just scraps from books. Okay, every single one's different. I've got the little stamped quotes on. This one's a little bit larger than this one, but they're all kind of coherent. I've tried to keep it in the pink and the blue, pink, blue and like a green colour, so that then when these are in the journal, they're going to help bring cohesiveness, you know, and a kind of colour palette that kind of matches, although it's not going to match completely. It's going to be a little bit of a hodgepodge. I love this. I love them. I could sit and make these all day. Okay, you don't need any special skills. Just layer up till you think things are pretty. All right, so let's get on, and I want to make these envelopes with you. So these are some ripped envelopes that... Okay, so we've sped it up. So these envelopes were recycled, and I tea-dyed them ages ago, ripped them in half for some reason. I can't remember why, and they've just been in my stash. So I'm adding some white paint to some plastic, and then kind of stamping that onto the envelope. It just gives like a painty, chalky effect without having to gesso the whole thing, because I do still want to, if I'm going to make a junk journal, I want it to look like I've used junk, if you know what I mean. I'm not going to all that effort, and then you know, you can't see what it is. So, and I don't want to necessarily collage over everything either, because that will take forever. So this is a quick and easy way of doing it. You could do it with gesso or whatever colour you like. You don't have to use white, you could use any. And then these clusters that I've made are going to be used to decorate them. So the large ones can just go straight across the middle, and then that is a top pocket. I will put that in my journal. I'll find a nice space for it. Where shall I put it? Is it going there? Is it going there? Can't decide. I don't know. Faffing about. I quite like it there, but I changed my mind. Because the journal's still in the early stages, I maybe don't quite know where to put things. I finally decided to put it on that half a page there, so it can be like a flip. And one of my tags that I make later on my journaling cards will go in that pocket. And everything will be completely made from scratch. Woohoo! So I'm continuing. I'm looking for the clusters that I like to finish those envelopes off. The larger ones are better for this. So yeah, it's really important to make lots and lots and lots of clusters in different orientations so that you can use them for different things. Let's see how far I get and how long my clusters last before I have to go and spend a day making a load more. I hope that I've got enough. Okay, so my next task is tags and journaling cards. So I have cut some of the random Edith Holden pages that I've got left, 4x6, and I have actually doubled them up. So I've cut that out twice, glued them together to make sturdy tags. So I've got quite a few of those. And I've got some more left over to glue together. And then for journaling cards, I've just done them one strength. So again, I've used the book pages, and these have been cut to 4x5. I've rounded the corners, okay, and I've also used the old diary that I had. I've taken some pages out of that, and I've cut them down quarter of an inch shorter, so 3 3/4 by 4 3/4, okay, and I can just literally glue those on and turn those into journaling cards. I'm not too worried about the white edge on these ones, okay, and I can literally should be able to just use glue stick for these. Okay, so the glue stick was more than adequate. I didn't want to use a wet glue because this paper is quite thin, so I didn't want to oversaturate it. So using a glue stick is more than adequate, and I'm doing it on both sides because I'm a bit concerned that this journal is going to end up a little bit like an art journal almost, and that there's not going to be a lot of writing space. So I'm extending my writing space by adding these, and then I'm just going to just very lightly decorate them with some of my handmade embellishments. I'm using my leaves there that I've cut from book pages, and some of the leftover scraps that I've ripped up whilst I've been making my clusters. Try not to rip anything else up, but if I need to, I need to. And a very, very minimal layering on there. Just 2 strips, I think, and a word I think I end up putting. Try not to overthink it. I tend to overthink things. I was thinking about putting a label there, and I decided I didn't want to waste it. I didn't want to encroach on the writing space, so I just add my word and leave it at that. It's enough because we want to write on them. So when it comes to the tags, I want them a little bit more decorative. I do not like that yellow book page, so I'm toning it down with gesso, and I'm using a makeup sponge rather than just painting it because it gives a nice kind of textured look. Yeah, I think it looks really cool. So your cheap makeup sponges are great for this. Important to dry in between before doing anything else, otherwise you'll end up with a big soggy mess and you won't be able to do anything over the top, or whatever you do put over the top will take even longer to dry. So I decide that I'm going to put some modelling paste on these. Now I use modelling paste a lot, I use them in my digitals, but if you are making things from scratch, it's a really quick way of filling a space. Stick some modelling paste on it. It's an immediate, nice background. It never fails, it always looks great, you can't go wrong. Okay, really important to dry it before you start layering. And so here I'm using some of the larger flowers that I fussy cut. I'm being a bit precious how I use them because I only have so many. That's the thing with junk journaling, unless you've got a large supply of books, you're going to be limited. Whereas with my digitals, I could have just printed some more out. So I'm being a bit precious with those, and I'm saving the larger flowers for the tags. So again, I'm just thinking how to layer things up. I'm just going to distress the edge with my scissors because I don't want straight edges. And all of these have been made out of, book pages. I've stamped on them, then I've coloured them. If you've seen the previous videos, I show you how I make all of this ephemera that I'm using to add onto my ephemera, because you've got to make all of the components as well. So yeah, it's a long process. I'm not sure if I'm going to be making too many junk journals in the future, but I'm determined to finish this one. So yeah, I will share my journey with you, and then at the end, when it's finished and I'm doing my flip through, I will be sharing my findings, junk journal versus digital. Okay, and I'll give you my honest opinion, and all of the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. So make sure you're subscribed and follow this journey, because it's going to be an epic journey, let me tell you, because there's hours and hours and hours of work here. Yeah, I wouldn't be making these to sell. otherwise I'd be charging £300 for them. So on this white word here, I just felt it needed a bit more. It was just a bit too white, but I didn't want to ink it because my arms are sore. So I drew around it and it looks really cool, and I'm really happy with how this turned out. So that is a day of making my ephemera, more or less done. Make our tags. So we've done tags, we've done journaling cards, we've done the envelopes, pockets, like that, and I still have a heap of clusters left for decorating. So I'll leave it there for today. And I'm going to use some of these as page tabs, okay, and I think in the next video we will be maybe sewing this into some sort of cover, okay. So that's where we're at so far. Everything made from scratch, even the little components, all from junk or recycled items. So that's today's mass make. I've been at it all day, okay. So junk journaling takes, in my opinion, longer than using digitals. But I'm actually quite enjoying the process, to be honest. I've had awesome fun making all these. I hope you've enjoyed watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. We'll be nearly done. Take care. Bye for now.